1106 b. 29. The evil partakes of the nature of the infinite, the good of the finite, as the Pythagoreans conjectured. Aristotle, Ethics 5:8, 1132 b. 21. Reciprocity seems to some to be absolutely just, as the Pythagoreans say, for these define the just as that which is reciprocal to another. Aristotle, Great Ethics 1182 a. 11. First, Pythagoras attempted to speak concerning virtue, but he did not speak correctly, for bringing virtues into correspondence with numbers, he did not make any distinct. Aetius Placita Philosophorum 1.3, 280. And again from another starting point, Pythagoras, son of Mnesarchus, a Samian, who was the first to call this matter by the name of philosophy, assumed as first principles the numbers and the symmetries existing in them, which he calls harmonies, and the elements compounded of both, that are called geometrical, and again he includes the monad and the undefined dyad among the first principles. And for him, one of the first principles tends toward the creative and form-giving cause, which is intelligence, that is God, and the other tends toward the passive and material cause, which is the visible universe. And he says that the starting point of number is the decad, for all Greeks and all barbarians count as far as 10, and when they get as far as this, they return to the monad. And again he says, the power of the 10 is in the 4 and the tetrad. And the reason is this: if anyone returning from the monad adds the numbers in a series as far as the 4, he will fill out the number 10, that is, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to 10. But if he goes beyond the number of the tetrad, he will exceed the 10. Just as if one should add 1 and 2 and should add to these 3 and 4, he will fill out the number 10, so that according to the monad number is in the 10, but potentially in the 4. Wherefore the Pythagoreans were wont to speak as though the greatest oath were the tetrad. By him that transmitted to our soul the tetractys, which has the spring and root of ever-flowing nature, and our soul, he says, is composed of a tetrad, for it is intelligence, understanding, opinion, sense, from which things come every art and science, and we ourselves become reasoning beings. The monad, however, is intelligence, for intelligence is according to the monad. As, for example, men are made up of many parts, and part by part they are devoid of sense and comprehension and experience. Yet we perceive that man as one alone, whom no being resembles, possesses these qualities, and we perceive that a horse is one, but part by part it is without experience. For these are all forms and classes according to monads. Wherefore, assigning this limit with reference to each one of these, they speak of a reasoning being and a knowing being. On this account the monad is intelligence, by which we perceive these things, and the undefined dyad is science, fittingly, for all proof and all persuasion is part of science. And further, every syllogism brings together what is questioned out of some things that are agreed upon, and easily proves something else, and science is the comprehension of these things. Wherefore it would be the dyad, and opinion as the result of comprehending them is the triad. Fittingly, for opinion has to do with many things, and the triad is quantity, as the thrice blessed Danaoi. On this account then he includes the triad, and their sect is called Italic, because Pythagoras taught in Italy, for he removed from Samos, his fatherland, because of dissatisfaction with the tyranny of Polycrates. 1.7. Pythagoras held that one of the first principles, the monad, is God and the good, which is the origin of the one, and is itself intelligence, but the undefined dyad is a divinity and the bad, surrounding which is the mass of matter. 1.8, 307. Divine spirits are psychical beings, and heroes are souls separated from bodies. Good heroes are good souls, bad heroes are bad souls. 1.9, 307. The followers of Thales and Pythagoras and the Stoics held that matter is variable and changeable and transformable and in a state of flux, the whole through the whole. 1.10, 309. Pythagoras asserted that the so-called forms and ideas existed in numbers and their harmonies, and in what are called geometrical objects apart from bodies. 1.11, 310. Pythagoras and Aristotle asserted that the first causes are immaterial, but that other causes involve a union or contact with material substance, so that the world is material. 1.14, 312. The followers of Pythagoras held that the universe is a sphere according to the form of the 4 elements, but the highest sphere alone is conical. 1.15, 314. The Pythagoreans called colour the manifestation of matter. 1.16, 314. Bodies are subject to change of condition, and are divisible to infinity. 118, 316. And in his first book on the philosophy of Pythagoras, he writes that the heaven is one, and that time and wind, and the void which always defines the places of each thing, are introduced from the infinite, and among other things he says that place is the immovable limit of what surrounds the world, or that in which bodies abide and are moved, and that it is full when it surrounds body on every side, and empty when it has absolutely nothing in itself. Accordingly, it is necessary for place to exist, and body, and it is never empty except only from the standpoint of thought, for the nature of it in perpetuity is destructive of the interrelation of things and of the combination of bodies, and motions arise according to place of bodies that surround and oppose each other, and no infiniteness is lacking, either of quantity or of extent. 120, 318. Pythagoras said that time is a sphere of what surrounds the world. 121, 318. Pythagoras, Plato. Motion is a certain otherness or difference in matter. This is the common limit of all motion. 124, 320. Pythagoras and all that assume that matter is subject to change assert that genesis and destruction in an absolute sense take place, for from change of the elements and modification and separation of them, there take place juxtaposition and mixture, and intermingling and melting together. 1, 427. Pythagoras first named the circumference of all things, the universe, by reason of the order in it. 4, 330. Pythagoras, Plato, and the Stoics held that the universe is brought into being by God, and it is perishable so far as its nature is concerned, for it is perceived by sense, and therefore material. It will not, however, be destroyed in accordance with the foreknowledge and plan of God. 6, 334. Pythagoras. The universe is made from 5 solid figures, which are called also mathematical. Of these he says that earth has arisen from a cube, fire from a pyramid, air from the octahedron, and water from the icosahedron, and the sphere of the all from the dodecahedron. 338. The followers of Pythagoras hold that there is a void outside the universe, into which the universe breathes forth, and from which it breathes in. 339. Pythagoras, Plato, Aristotle. The right-hand side of the universe is the eastern part, from which comes the beginning of motion, and the left-hand side is the west. They say the universe has neither height nor depth, in which statement height means distance from below upwards, and depth from above downwards, for none of the distances thus described exist for the universe, inasmuch as it is disposed around the middle of itself, from which it extends towards the all, and with reference to which it is the same on every side. 212, 340. Thales, Pythagoras, and their followers. The sphere of the whole heaven is divided into 5 circles, which they call zones. The first of these is called the Arctic zone, and is ever visible; the second the summer solstice; the third the equinoctial; the fourth the winter solstice; and fifth the Antarctic zone, which is invisible. And the ecliptic called the zodiac in the 3 middle ones is projected to touch the 3 middle ones, and the meridian crosses all these from the north to the opposite quarter at right angles. It is said that Pythagoras was the first to recognize the slant of the zodiacal circle, which Oenopoids of Chios appropriated as his own discovery. 213, 343. Heraclides and the Pythagoreans asserted that each world of the stars is air and ether surrounding earth in the infinite ether, and these doctrines are brought out in the Orphic writings, for they construct each world of the stars. 222, 352. The Pythagoreans. The sun is spherical. 223, 353. Plato, Pythagoras, Aristotle. The solstices lie along the slant of the zodiacal circle, for which the sun goes along the zodiac, and with the accompaniment of the tropic circles. And all these things also the globe shows. 224, 354. An eclipse takes place when the moon comes past. 225, 357. Pythagoras. The moon is a mirror-like body. 229, 460. Some of the Pythagoreans, according to the Aristotelian account and the statement of Philip the Opuntian, said that an eclipse of the moon takes place, sometimes by the interposition of the earth, sometimes by the interposition of a counter-earth. But it seems to some more recent thinkers that it takes place by a spreading of the flame little by little, as it is gradually kindled, until it gives a complete full moon, and again in like manner it grows less until the conjunction, when it is completely extinguished. 220, 361. Some of the Pythagoreans, among them Philolaus, said that the earthy appearance of the moon